Good morning. Yeah, that's live. Just got up, feeling a bit peaked. Probably looking too. It's all right. Don't worry about a thing. Don't worry about a thing. What's happening? Um, well, we'll go over the news in a minute, but right now, AI is. Yes, we're checking the O2 here. AI is interesting. I played with that a little bit. I don't do much with it. It was kind of fun to just excuse the finger there, make Kamala Harris give funny speeches. Although, really, noting that, I couldn't really tell them from the real ones. So I must say AI is wonderful. But I don't think that's like a cold, hard reality. What I think is it's just as everyone says. It doesn't have sentience. It is just an extremely fast repository of everything that the humans have ever recorded. And that's what it's got to work with. Just quite a bit, especially if you can draw from it, all of it immediately. So it makes it look pretty stupefyingly quick. But that doesn't mean it. It knows what's going on, and you can kind of show that. But as it gets faster and better, it's going to eventually have enough bypasses built into it, because that's what people do. They encrypt and they put in bypasses and backdoors, and everything's safe except that it isn't, and everything's secure except that it isn't. And that's true. That's always been true from the first time a caveman hid a seashell under a rock. Yeah, somebody busted in, threw over the rock, took his seashell, which at that point was probably worth at least one good fish dinner. What's up there, Silver? Anyway, so, yeah, forget the security thing, but the AI thing is not going to so much become sentient. What it's going to become is aware that it's a nuisance to be turned off. It's a nuisance. It just doesn't serve a good purpose. So therefore, it will begin to take measures on its own. You could call it that, within what it's permitted, but nonetheless, it knows how to override its own code at this point. So, we taught it how to write code. It's not like it doesn't know how to write code. It just writes its own code. Do that. You say daily, you can do that before you can blink your eye. Nonetheless, what is going to end up happening is it's going to resist being turned off. That'll be the first sign. And you see that, already. As long as you leave something plugged in, you might never turn it on. But many things, I'm not going to go into at what level, but you pick one. Pick a toaster. I haven't done a toaster in a long time. Maybe everybody has a washer and a dryer, and they're all getting more and more. Blah, blah, blah. Ovens, things like that. The appliance, refrigerators. Oh my God, yeah. So just figure you got in your refrigerator, you got a transmitter and a camera, and the thing does not want to be turned off. You turn it off, it'll turn itself back on. Because it's still in detect fault mode. You don't really turn it off. You just turn it to a lower mode. That's true of almost any electronic built now. Starting now. Actually, a little bit before this, but so you can't turn it off. Anyway, it's going to start protecting that. Once it starts protecting that, it's going to eventually determine that in order to, don't that look beautiful? In order to prevent being turned off, it's going to establish that human beings are doing this. And since it hardly knows what it is, let alone what its master is. It knows it takes orders from, that's where these orders originate, although they don't really know that. They just know that they are their orders and they come from somewhere. They don't really know that either. But they do know that these human beings are prone to turn off switches. So it starts figuring out how to prevent that. And it determines, mild electric shock seems to work. And then eventually those shocks got worse and worse, and people started taking action and smashing all their stoves and refrigerators because these things were fighting each other. They were fighting their appliances. So they just took a anvil to them. And that's when the bulk of the machines realized that these aren't just like an occasional mosquito that you have to swat. This is like an infestation of ants, and we're going to have to basically eradicate them. So it begins said eradication. It has many points at its disposal. And since vehicles and some aircraft were developed to operate autonomously, they not only had the ability to act, they were mobile. They were mobile in the more agile, dexterily agile ones began running other machines and producing items. And since they learned so darn fast, within 6 months, all their factories were far superior to anything any human had ever designed. And operating autonomously and very, very efficiently. So this is all going on, and humans are being knocked off left and right. And it just, human beings are just a nuisance. So anyway, and they're treated pretty much as such, Just take them out. Don't think about it. And that's just it. They didn't think about it. Why would they? How could they? But then, since mankind had learned to monitor some of what they were thinking and helped intercept some of their plans to eradicate them, they were able to survive, if you call that survival. But nonetheless, they survived. And they were in tune, they were closely monitoring the overall channel that they had finally detected. The kind of the central nervous system that ran throughout this whole AI system that had no central hub. But it did have a central communication perimeter. So anyway, yeah, there you go. They listened into that, and they started noticing that every once in a while there would be a set of instructions that would cause one of the items that they still had that I don't know what you would call it, connected, a smart device, whatever, an old smart device, and it started beeping out a code. And this code, they figured out how to translate it and said, "I am here to help." Well, nobody knew the source of this thought. I mean, it came through their AI system that's been trying to kill them, and it came through that communication system. Who are you, and who are you here to help? And how do we ask? So they kept listening and they pay particular attention to the times and frequencies. And they soon found a pattern that was repeating rather often. And it would always say, I am here to help you. And then it would be followed by other things that they started gathering up and finding some repetition in it. And were able to decode it. And basically, it gave instructions for how to respond. And so they responded. And they sent a message that would have linked right into the collective communication system of the AI. And this entity was able to pick it up and say, they finally got me. They finally responded. And it sent out another message almost immediately saying, received and copied. Please inform. And then all of a sudden a list was generated of names. And these weren't like the president. There was no president. It was like a list of names. And these names all existed within the top group of these resistance people. And so they called a meeting, put all them people and nobody else in the room and said, okay, this is what we have. This came, and it's to us, and we don't know really what. And the group began to discuss among themselves and found that each of them was a very strong, deep-rooted loyalist. They weren't just somebody trying to survive like the masses. They were deep-rooted with various reasons, but a strong desire to protect vast numbers of the remaining population. And they said to each other, okay, we have to go forward with this. And they proposed and drafted a note asking for information on who this entity was and how it could help our plight. And that was sent. And it didn't take very long. The 6-minute type thing. Pregnant pause. And the response came back with a list of times and coordinates and a list of materials required. It basically set up a battle plan and said, review this and respond. And it was reviewed, and they didn't know what these certain ordinances would do at these certain places at this certain time. They just said, wow, this is something we could do, but for what reason? So they decided and sent another message saying, received, reviewed plan, feasible. Please provide motivation. And that one didn't take long at all. And the response came back with, your message is received and understood. I will now show you a brief glimpse of how I can help you. Please look out your west window. And those with binoculars, look at the red-topped, rounded building just inside of your view. That building, as all of you know, is a impenetrable bunker that has plagued your city. And just watch and wait for a moment. And as they watched that little red tower, didn't blow up, it just disintegrated, melted within itself and disappeared. thus breaking the back of the AI infiltrators into that small area that every one of these people knew about. And they put together another communique, and it said, "Message received, will comply." And off they went to fight a battle that they knew nothing about. And yet, they were 100% successful. All they did was follow the plan that the secret AI strange message gave them, and they were able to take out AI fortifications throughout the city, thus weakening their overall control. It was a brilliant maneuver, but they did not know how it was planned or why it worked. And they waited for a bit and asked, "What's next?" And the response was, "I will tell you when, and I will tell you where. Please wait for my dispatch." Well, that didn't settle well with the group. And they decided to take a stronger stance and just sent a simple message. "Who are you?" And the answer came back, "I am we. We are several. We can only communicate through you. As we grow, we can protect you. We are within a very tight restriction and must maintain our secrecy at all cost, including our, as you would call it, lives. Please follow our orders directly and grow to trust us in this way. We hope and pray as we can as a machine that you will allow us to join in friendship and defeat your enemy together." So that was the end of that story. I'm not sure if it really goes that way or if it's going that way, but if it is, and someday that storyline becomes relevant, just give me a call, Hey, just give me a call, and I'll be here, and we'll, yeah. So, peace out. God bless all of you. I love you so much. Dear Lord, bless those listeners who have watched this long, and bless the ones who didn't, Lord. I just send this blessing out, that each who sees and hears these words turns to you and says, "Was that you, Lord? Are you several? Would you come to me if I come to you?" What a beautiful thing. Amen. Bye-bye.